Kia ora, I'm Davina Zimmer, and today on The Detail, I'm standing outside Spectrum, the first play zone in New Zealand to be specially designed for children with autism. Let's go inside and have a look. Hi, Matt. Lovely to meet you. Sorry, I'm a bit early.
That's okay, that's all right. I'm just going to drop the door down.
Mac Ponu couldn't take his autistic son Matthias to a playground without feeling overwhelmed and judged by onlookers. So he and his wife Maria decided to create their own space in Auckland's Mount Albert, a space where their son and other autistic children could be themselves in an environment designed to let them play freely. We're standing in this room that's just filled with different toys, and it's colourful toys, a big trampoline here in the corner, the ball pit.
Yeah.
Did you set this all up out of pocket or did you get funding?
When my wife and I first had the idea was to have a space set up, but we didn't really sort of look at the financial side of things because we thought, oh, maybe we can get some support, some local support. Hi. Yeah, so at the time we didn't really look at the financial side of things, but the idea was there, the plan was there. We reached out to a couple of locals, businesses, and also local board in regards to grants. I guess to them the idea wasn't really a reality sort of idea. It was, and I think no one wanted to take us seriously. So I said, to my wife, we're going to have to do this ourselves, So that's what we did. We put our life savings into this, and that's how we got everything sorted. There are some bits and pieces that were donated from some of our close friends, but most of all this we bought it ourselves from overseas, and a lot of it we created and built ourselves.
So is this just for autistic kids, or is it?
Well, when we first set up the space, it was based around our son and also other kids on the spectrum. But then we've had a whole lot of other organisations reach out to us and parents that have found out that there was this specialised indoor playground set up for autistic kids. And it was like, well, where can we go?
Yeah.
Can we have access to your space? And I think it was when we started working with a couple of OTs and SLTs and a couple of specialists, that's when a lot of families were referred to us. And that's how it all started.
What started as a largely self-funded playgroup has grown into a hugely successful business. Spectrum's holiday program is fully booked out and has a waitlist with more than 10 kids on it. People travel from as far as Invercargill to come here, and it's even attracted international attention.
The year after we set up, FIFA reached out from Australia while they were planning the FIFA games. They must have Googled us to understand if there was a sensory space that, in New Zealand, and we were the first names that popped up. That's when they reached out to us, and we invited it to come. So they flew in, and they came in, they had a look around, and they fell in love with our sensory room. And then that's when they asked, would we be keen to help them with their project, to build a space at Eden Park to have it ready for FIFA. So we were given a space by Eden Park to build a sensory room.
A sensory room is a specially designed space where people can explore their different senses, such as touch, sound and sight. It's a calm environment, giving individuals the opportunity to escape the noise of overwhelming situations.
It's a quiet, dim space for our kids, also for adults, for them to go and when they get overwhelmed, especially, for example, at Eden Park, when people get overwhelmed with crowded spaces, or it could be anything, it could be lighting, it could be the sound, and that triggers some people. It triggers some of the kids when things are, too much. They get overstimulated, and sometimes they need a space for them to go into just to recharge, recoup.
Like a quiet, right?
A quiet space.
Quiet space.
And that's why we created that space. That's why they needed a space when the crowd is a bit overwhelming for people. They need a space where they can just pull back to.
The room was so popular that Eden Park asked for it to stay permanently. Now, every time there's a big event, it's open to the public with staff from Spectrum managing it. Mac is in discussions to get more of these spaces into other public venues. They also have one at their Mount Albert Play Centre. Oh, wow. Yeah. So we're in a dark room, and there's...
This room is known as Snowelson room. This is what the medical professionals call the room. It's called Snowelson room.
Snowelson.
Yeah.
These rooms are an idea developed in the Netherlands during the 70s and are one of a variety of spaces that fall under the broader category of sensory rooms. The name is a combination of the Dutch words snuffelen, which means to explore, and duzzelen, which means to relax. A combination of soft lighting, soothing sounds, tactile elements, aromatherapy, and interactive features are used to create a calming and immersive environment. Taking off your shoes and socks before entering is encouraged.
The sensory space is set up. The flooring and all the equipment and everything that we have on the floor is for them to feel. Because a lot of our kids have got sensory challenges with their feet. So them getting into, the space and feel the grass, the turf, and also all the equipment, gel mats, different equipment with different textures on the floor. It's really important for them to feel that.
So we've got all these different kind of mats, and we've got some lights here, and all over the wall we've got kind of
stars,
constellation stars.
A lot of our kids, they love galaxy.
Yeah.
And love the lights, all the movements of everything that we have on the wall. And sometimes we turn some of these stars off and then just leave the galaxy lights on, and they like to sort of stand there and just see the reflection of themselves on the wall. And it's really cool when they get really creative with things.
The phrase neurodivergent and, another phrase is on the spectrum. I feel like those are phrases that people hear frequently, and they're like, yeah, I kind of know what that is. But I'm interested to know how you would define it.
Good question. My view on that is it's just the way their brain is wired, the way they see the world, the way they see things is completely different from how we see us as neurotypical. How we see things most of the time is just what's in front of us. And we see things as it is. But sometimes a neurodivergent will sort of be on a different level, seeing things from a wider view.
Not taking the obvious answer.
Yes.
Wow. Spaces like these, you don't come across them every day. I mean, you guys created this in
2021.
2021. Yeah. So, and you were the first one in New Zealand in 2021. Do you see this growing? Do you see more of these spaces being created in the future?
We are in the process of building a bigger one in Manukau. That's where the biggest needs is around the country. It's where all the supports are as well. And we have been asked to set one up in Manukau, a bigger one. The original plan was to set one here, one in Wellington and one in Christchurch. That is still in the pipeline. But we have also recently became a trust. Becoming a trust is not as straightforward as becoming a trust and then get funding. You still got to go through the whole process of proving who we are, why we need the funding, and then we need to target our right audience as well. It's really important that we get it right from the beginning, but we do plan to set more around the country.
And that's only part of the plan. In the delightful chaos of the general play area, Mac's wife Maria is supervising morning tea. She says once the trust is official, they'll be able to start fundraising and work towards the ultimate goal, a facility with wraparound services for neurodivergent people of all ages, because Maria says there simply aren't enough services for them. Wraparound services would include daycares like Spectrum, but also things like mock apartments for adults with disabilities, so they can practice everyday tasks, and it would all be under one roof.
We need to have services that are umbrella services. We have services, but in different organizations. Transitions for our kids with disabilities are really hard. And we do not want to take over. We want to work with organizations. If the organizations are already doing certain services, we don't want to do an extra service. We want to be helping the other organizations so we can help our community. Of course, we started with our little ones because that's all the funding that I had, all the money that I had. But the goal is at the end have these services when we can assist and support our community when they are adults. They're going to grow up. Where are they going to go? So there were two options, either cry about the lack of services or we start creating them. Whatever services are out there, strengthen those services from those organizations, make referrals to those organizations, inform the public of what's out there, and hopefully later on have everything under one umbrella. And if those organizations, they want to have their services under one building, we can put all those services under one building. They don't need to be, like the charitable trust name. They can be, for example, Jojepa, and have an internal office, in our service.
But all in the same building, physical location.
So it's easier for our kids and individuals with disabilities to be in one building rather than going there. And to facilitate things not only for them but for the families. Because at the end, the ones that are picking up the pieces is the families. We don't have enough supports. And the supports that are there, they're very limited in number. They're very long wait list. And they're good services, really beautiful organizations doing the great mahi. And we just need to amplify their voices and to give them a space where they can be seen so that together we can make that fabric where the families fall. I always tell my husband, we're like simple threads just floating in the air. But if we put those threads together, we make a fabric. And the families, we're the safety net for these families if we're together and tight in our relationships.
Even now, demand for Spectrum is high, but due to safety reasons, Max says they have to keep numbers small. The 17 schools that come in regularly during term time can bring up to 10 kids with their parents. The school holiday program, which is fully run by Spectrum staff without parents assisting, is capped at 20. Almost a dozen families are on the wait list for that program.
And some of these families have been on the wait list since the last school holiday. It's very hard to get in because a lot of our parents from the current school holiday rebooked from the last one. So
they've come here for years.
Most of our kids that are here right now are regulars that have been here from the beginning. You saw some of our kids with their challenges. It's really hard for them to go into a different, what they call normal setting, because it's just too much for our kids. They don't go to open parks. They don't go to other indoor playgrounds because when you mix our kids play with neurotypical play, you'll see them stand out. And they'll probably shy away and hide in a corner somewhere because the noise from those playgrounds and also for the other kids is just different from the way our kids play.
Is there a way, because obviously it costs to come here, I guess it's like a daycare, isn't it? Is there a way to adapt this concept? I'm just thinking, neurotypical kids, you go to the park and you can play on the swing for free.
Correct.
Is there a way to adapt this concept so that there can be spaces for neurodivergent kids that are free in the public?
In the public, they can be. I don't see why not, but somebody will have to manage it.
Yeah.
Because we do get a lot of neurotypical kids that are trying to come in here with their families because they see all the fun stuff in here. They see the equipment. And we have them every day. Every day we have families that come to us, can we come play here?
Yeah.
And then we ask the question. I said, the space is set up for kids with disability. He goes, okay, but you guys are a lot cheaper as well. I said, $10 per child.
That is a thing with different minority communities when there is a space created specifically for, let's say neurodivergent kids, then you have people being like, it's unfair.
Yeah, we get that.
How do you deal with that?
So I think It's just making people understand. Let's put it this way. Your kids can have access and do have access to anywhere. Public parks, indoor playgrounds. They can literally ride a bike down the street. Our kids can't. Our children cannot even go anywhere outside without being supervised, without an adult there to manage, to make sure they don't just put things in their mouths and swallow them, So, yes, I understand, and because for us it's about inclusivity, but it's also about making people understand the differences, that our children, they have very limited resources, access to spaces, and this is why we created this space. It's just for them to feel belong. When we first opened, a lot of our families were so isolated, they couldn't go out because they can't go into a park without being judged or being looked at or being told, "Oh, what's wrong with your child?" So those are the challenges that we face. So for us, we put our hand up. My wife and I put our hands up to do this for that reason, and we will fight for these kids, our kids, and our parents. But I know it's an unfair side if they look at it, but I think it's all about making them understand and explaining that to them properly, that it's everything starts from that. And also I think it's really important that neurotypical children understand that sometimes they're not going to get everything that they want and how they want it, but it is also fair for our children to have access to these resources so they can have a fighting chance of being themselves, no matter the challenge that they face. They can have their own space, which is why it's really important that we encourage families with siblings of our children, come in, bring the siblings in.
And so is that your way of integrating neurodivergent children with neurotypical children together and bringing them together instead of, some may argue that, creating a space just for neurodivergent kids isolates them even more.
Yeah, I don't think it's us isolating them. I think it's us giving our families and our children the space that they can call their own, because we don't go out to other places. We don't. And you talk to any of the parents that comes here, they'll give you the exact same answer. We can't go to other places because, number one, our children won't be comfortable. And number two, our kids this place is just not set up for our children. And number three, parents, sometimes they get abused, all because our children play a certain way.
You would think that in 2025...
Oh, we've got a long way to go.
We've got a long way to go.
We have a long way to go. People are always saying, it's good to spread the awareness. The awareness has always been out there. People have always been aware of autism, neurodivergent. But whether they choose to accept it, that's a different thing. So this is why we always say we've got a long way to go. But we're slowly getting there. But I think if we continue to do our bit one day at a time and just spreading that word by actually doing the action. Sometimes when people come in, they've got a different mentality, mindset. But it's just not just giving them the space, but also giving them the opportunity to let go. A lot of our kids, they've grown up in that environment where they have very limited access to resources and they have very restricted access to things. Parents have become so used to, oh, no, we've never done that. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. But when they come into an environment where I'm like, let her explore, let him explore, take a step back and watch them. And then they see a whole different child. And that's when they say, I've never seen them do that. It's because we've never put them in a space where they can actually be themselves without restrictions. They've never been in a space where they can do things without hovering over them. Because we're so used to it. When we go to public, we know our children.
You wonder where are they doing?
Yeah.
Going? What are they doing?
Like you're always hovering over them,
yeah.
And it's tiring, it's exhausting. But when parents come in here and they cry and you see the emotions, and then we ask, "You're okay?" It's because it's our first time, and we've never been able to just take a step back without always, oh sorry, yeah, he does that. Oh, he's on the spectrum. we become so used to that, it's become a norm for a lot of our parents, where they're constantly having to explain themselves to people that will never understand our journey. So by giving a space where our parents and our kids can feel belong as part of the family, part of the community, every day we go home, my wife and I will stand at the door, we do our prayer, we look back at what we created, and then we go home. The next day we come back and do it again.
That's all for today. The Detail is a newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. Thank you to Mac and Maria Ponu for welcoming me into their space. This episode was engineered by Mark Chesterman and produced by Gwen McClure. I'm Davina Zimmer, ka kite anō.